what is happening in Qatar. Because I briefly touched on it during my cigar live, which you missed completely. But I know you have some feelings and thoughts on the situation happening in Qatar, the current World Cup, that I perhaps didn't cover.
So what were you covering? Give me your overview of what you said about what's going on.
My overview was very simple. My overview was, if rainbow flags were the fashion of English people and we wore them all the time, I'm sure Qatar would let us in with the T-shirts. If nobody ever wears them in history and you show up at the arena with one, you are intentionally trying to provoke a culture into telling you to go home and change your T-shirts. You can paint them as the bad guy. And I believe that they should crack some skulls. That was the gist of what I said.
Imagine being a generic football fan, just a guy who likes football. Yeah, just bring it in.
Come in.
Imagine being a generic football fan, just a guy who likes football. You don't give a shit about any of these political statements, any of this garbage. And now all of a sudden you're, by just watching the football games and supporting football, you're on the side of mass. I don't even know what you are. What are they doing? Mass degeneracy? Like, it's insanity. Can't you just like football now?
Or can't you just, have sex with who you want in your house without having to show everyone in the World Cup?
Bro, you're lucky I'm not Mr. Producer, because I saw some English TV show. There was an English TV show. Thanks. There's an English TV show. Just leave it, bro. Thanks. There was an English TV show, and it's one of these guys. He's one of them football pundits. I don't know. And it was BBC Two or something. And there's a full 3 minutes singing and dancing, just saying how important it is to have rainbow armbands. Why? I don't get it. Why can't people just play football? Why do they have to mix in this agenda with everything?
Yeah, I don't
understand. The West has no culture besides that. It's the last piece of culture, the pride flag. And I don't give a shit if people are gay. I don't care. You can be as gay as you want. But why do you have to not? Why did you go to another country and make sure that they understand how important it is that you believe that that's an important thing?
Well, interestingly enough, Andrew, in the argument of love is love and we should celebrate and make legal all types of love, if you are from Qatar and you are a Muslim and you live in England, you cannot legally marry 3 or 4 women. Polygamy is against the law in England. So if we were to hold the World Cup in England, could the Qatari players have their pro-polygamy, pro-multi-wife armbands on? But I don't think they would.
I don't think they would.
No, because they don't want to push their culture on other people. They're just happy being who they are. And I think that that's what every culture should do.
Yeah, because it's absolutely not arrogant to believe that your worldviews are somehow shared by every other nation on earth. It's actually amazing that the West pretends to be moral and has any kind of moral high ground. If you look at the track records of the West, whether it's starting wars or look at some of the ideas the Matrix is purporting now.
I did say this yesterday.
Yeah, there's Matrix. I mean, the ideas that the Matrix is purporting now amongst the populations of the West are absolutely not utterly degenerate. They're not moral. You're going to sit there and say that, it's okay to chop people's dicks off at the age of 8 and 9, and that's somehow good. And then you want to talk to others about morality. There's absolutely nothing moral about the West. The West is disgusting in many various forms, and for them to sit there and pretend that they know so much more than other countries is absolutely and utterly disrespectful. By most metrics, Qatar as a country outperforms nearly every Western country.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's safer. They have families, lower divorce rate. They're doing something right. So for us to come along and say, no, they're doing everything wrong, they have to believe the way we think, is absolutely not arrogant.
Another point, Andrew, and something that we didn't actually plan to talk about, but it just popped into my mind, and something no World Cup footballer I've noticed is talking about, and literally no celebrity is talking against, the recent ad campaign, and I'm a father of a young girl, the recent ad campaign run by Balenciaga. Now,
that's good. Before we start on that, before we get onto that, I want to talk more about this football, because that's too good.
Okay.
But this football thing, we can't just gloss over it, because anyone at home who believes that those who are in charge of FIFA and in charge of the world and in charge of the Matrix, because football in and of itself is probably factually the number one most popular sport on the planet.
Yes.
It is a tool for the Matrix to entertain and keep you in the slave mind. They want you to be obsessed over the actions of other men, so you do not take agency and you do not focus on trying to do things yourselves. So I don't even watch football. Watching football in and of itself is asinine. I don't want to sit there and watch some dude run around with a ball and then my wife be wearing a jersey with some other man's name on it. No, sir. If I cared so much about football, I'd play football. That's what I would do. But considering it's such a massive entertainment tool, by extension, making it a tool of the Matrix, them trying to attach it so desperately to an agenda which they're trying to enforce and force down the necks of every single person on the planet is not an accident. This has nothing to do with love. Nobody cares if a man and a man enjoy each other's company in private. Nobody cares. In fact, I would argue in most Middle Eastern countries, if a man and a man keep themselves to themselves and enjoy each other's company in public, in private, nothing bad will happen to them.
True.
You're just not allowed to run around in public and talk about it because they don't find it cohesive and conducive to their religious beliefs, which is fair. That is their prerogative. But the fact that they're trying to force this down to everybody's necks has nothing to do with love. This is just another psyop. It's the same reason that certain agendas are in every single movie. They're in schools. They're all over YouTube. It's part of the psyop. And now what they're doing is they're taking anything that is deemed even remotely masculine, like action superhero movies. They've taken them and they've managed to warp that and mess that up. Now they've taken football. Anything that is remotely masculine on any level, they're going to try and corrupt. And by doing that, it's made it difficult to be a casual football fan. You're a casual football fan. I'm a football fan, and I like the World Cup. All of a sudden, you're torn into this whole fucking argument about gender ideology and sexual orientation. You're just trying to watch a football game. And by extension, by watching the football game, by supporting these organizations like FIFA and supporting the Matrix with let me change it. Listen to this. The Matrix has taken football and is now using it as a vehicle to damage the morality of humanity. If you still watch football and support that mechanism, even if you don't support how that mechanism is being used, you are supporting the Matrix in their attacks against morality. It's unfortunate. You can no longer just be a casual football fan and say, well, I just watch football. I don't care about any of that stuff they're talking about. No, sir. Because by watching football, you are making sure the football leagues are funded. By watching football, you're making sure there's interest in the football league, which gives the football league power, and that power is now being used irresponsibly, and it's now being used under the name of degeneracy. So now you have to make a decision as a casual football fan. Do I want to be a casual football fan and help aid the Matrix in its agenda in damaging the morality of the human race? Or do I want to stop caring about football? So I implore any of you who still seem to give a shit. For some reason, you are obsessed with the idea of a man putting a ball in a net. I implore you to absolutely not stop caring, because the sooner everyone stops watching this shit, the sooner it can be used as a tool of the Matrix to try and force degeneracy down our fucking throats. I'm not done. It was men putting a fucking ball in a net. What does this have to do with anything else? They're taking anything they can, which is remotely popular, and they are polluting it. Because it is largely watched, largely influencing the masses, they're taking it and they're trying to pollute the minds of the youth and the minds of the earth with it. You can no longer watch football with a clear conscience. I never gave a fuck in the first place. It's easy for me. I never gave a fuck about what other men are up to, putting fucking another man in their balls. I never gave a fuck. But if you care, you better stop. Anyone I now see who considers himself a casual football fan, I know is genuinely aiding the destruction of humanity.
And what I would say about rainbow t-shirts as well, it's very interesting that they're doing this in Qatar, because this is not actually about gay or straight. If you understand Qatar's morality laws, and when Andrew keeps talking about degeneracy, I would not be allowed in Qatar to have a t-shirt saying, I love having sex with my wife. You can't advertise any kind of private sexual relation or behavior to the public world. Children don't need to be reading this, but that's essentially what the rainbow flag means. I like having sex with men. I think men should have sex with one another. I'm fine with men having sex with one another. Why is your t-shirt about what adults get up to? There are teenage boys and young people watching these football games. Why is your t-shirt about adult sexual relations? It's nothing to do with gay or straight, because all forms of indecency are legal in the Middle East, and so they should be. I like their laws. I think they're nice.
But there's a broader point here. See if there's any good super chats before I make the broader point. There's a broad.
Custom saved.
There's a broader point here. The broader point is this. This goes on to the real world and why we had to move HU to the real world and change everything to our own servers, etc., etc. Anything that is large and influential, which is controlled by the Matrix, will eventually be weaponized against you. What does Morpheus say? Anybody who is not unplugged can become an agent at any time. You have football, traditionally a masculine sport, by traditionally masculine men, and it's traditionally been a man's world where men do masculine things, go into the football game, etc. Because it is controlled by the Matrix, the money is controlled by the Matrix, the TV shows, the TV programs which show the games is controlled by the Matrix. Because it's still controlled by the Matrix, eventually they will take it and they will weaponize it against you. Mm-hmm. If I was a football fan, I'd be furious. Haven't you seen in real time how they've weaponized one of the last masculine pastimes of the Western world, and they're now using it to force an agenda that you don't care about? Most football fans don't care about this crap,
nor
right?
Should they.
Why would they? But they've got the players under contract, and the players pretend to give a shit because they're cucked, And the TV channels say, if you want our money to show your games, you better cuck. And everyone cucks out left, right, and center. Anything that is controlled by the Matrix will eventually be weaponized and used against you, which is why it's so important you have entities outside of the Matrix. They're the only ones that are safe. You can apply this to anything. Look at any large YouTuber. Any large YouTuber. You may have had a pure soul at the beginning. You may have had honest intentions at the beginning, but eventually when you become large enough on YouTube, the only way you stay on YouTube is to sell your soul and to cuck out and start saying shit you barely believe, reading from your phone like fucking Logan Paul. Unless you sell your soul and become an agent of the Matrix, you are eventually going to be destroyed and removed. They do not want anything and anyone to have influence that they do not control. That's why they try to get rid of us. Because we have influence, we influence the masses. Lots of people know who we are. People respect us and respect our opinion. And when they came to us and tried to make us sell our souls, we said fucking no. We won't say things we don't believe in. We won't sell shit to fucking kids. We won't be a sellout. And as soon as you won't be a sellout, they want you to go. But this is actually interesting. They've taken something as large as football and managed to fucking attach something completely unrelated. The most popular sport in the world, and took something completely unrelated. Anal sex.
Male-to-male homosexual relations.
Nothing to do with the game in any way. Fucking put them together, put some duct tape around it and said swallow both or swallow none. Swallow being the key fucking word.
Well, I'll tell you, there is good news to this. Denmark was saying that they might refuse to play. All the Western teams are now losing to all the Middle Eastern teams. So, alhamdulillah, there is a sign being shown to the world here. The Middle Eastern teams keep beating. Didn't Saudi Arabia beat like Portugal, Ronaldo's team?
Something.
Alhamdulillah, I'm telling you, there's something going on here.
It is the will of God to teach you all a lesson, because you can't wear your fucking armbands if you're not in the tournament. How about that?
Wear your armbands at home, on the plane, on the bus.
But this is actually the scary thing that nobody else has identified this, that the people who are in charge of the world, in charge of the Matrix, have found the most popular sport in the world, found a completely unrelated social issue which they're trying to enforce. They put them together, wrapped it up in tape, and have said, if you like football, you must also like homosexuality. Take both or take none. That is insane. Well, imagine that. Imagine going to your girlfriend and saying, if you like air, you must like threesomes. Do you want to breathe? Oh, you breathe? Then I get to cheat on you. Like, you come to have sex. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
you're taking two unrelated things and putting them together and saying take both or take none. It's crazy. And football fans don't seem to notice. It's only football fans that should be protesting this, much more than anything else. Fuck Qatar and the BBC saying Qatar are bad. Bro, why are the UK saying Qatar are bad? Didn't you bomb Iraq and kill millions and millions of people for no reason?
Yeah, they're not exactly the moral compass that the world should be measuring itself by at all.
It's literally
far
criminal.
From it.
It's literally criminal. But the fact that football fans don't stand up and say, no, we just want the World Cup to be held in different destinations around the world without politicizing it, without attaching this fucking agenda. Why are the football fans not rioting? Unbelievable. If I was a football fan, which I'm not, I'd be furious, but I don't give a fuck either way. I just see what's happening. I know how the Matrix works, and they found something popular and they're attaching an issue to it.
Yeah, it's